Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is about the romantic compatibility between INFJs and ENFJs. And I know that many people have heard contradictory information about who is best matched with whom when it comes to the MBTI personality types. According to what I've noticed is that like attract like, and for a variety of reasons. So I usually advocate that the best romantic partner for people is their personality type or the introverted or extroverted version of that type. So when we compare the INFJ and the ENFJ, then you can see that they have a number of overlaps. So they are the type to get along rather well, but they're still going to face some challenges. So let's start with what is positive, or the areas of compatibility between these two types. They are obviously intuitive feelers. So they are very right brain dominant. These are people who are focused on spirituality and meaning. So these are people who are very compassionate, they are warm, relationships are very important in their life, so it's the core of who they are. These are also individuals who are very reliable, reachable, because as judges, I mean, they are the type who are the feminine but also the organized type. So these are people you can rely on. It is reachable, very also nurturing as individuals. So you'll see that when they interact, they can trust that the other person is going to be there for them, and they have a long attention span. So you'll see that with the INFJ and the ENFJ, when they are talking to someone, they're totally focused on this individual. They are not the type of people who are going to forget to, let's say, return a phone call or someone's birthday or anything that is sort of important when it comes to relationship. They easily remember that. So the person feels validated, seen, and heard. The other aspect with the ENFJ and the INFJ is that they both have paranormal abilities. So these are the type of people who have healing abilities, they have premonition dreams, they are telepathic. So when they are interacting with someone, is that they can pick up subtleties about the environment, the person, that most people would miss. The other aspect is that they are very faithful. These are people who are not the type to cheat on their mates. So when they decide to, let's say, have a bond, or let's say commit, it is really for them for life. They're not the type of people who are going to back away if things get difficult. So they really want to make the relationship work because they want to bond with their mates. And they're the type of people who are going to go the extra mile to make it work. And also, they're very good in terms of the practical aspect of life. So these are people who are going to be good with their finances, so you don't have to worry about, let's say, running out of money. They're meticulous about that. Also, when it comes to daily tasks, such as, taking the garbage out, doing the dishes, the cooking, all these things are usually taken care of when it comes to these two. The other point also is that they are slow. So they're the people who like to take their time. They don't like to rush. So if you look at their interaction, is that they have the same pace. One is not rushing the other. So they feel that they can really be themselves. The other aspect is that they're very physically affectionate, so they like hugs, they like to be physically close to their mates, and they're going to be spending a lot of physical time with that mate. Because both the INFJ and the ENFJ are very right brain dominant, they have a feminine aesthetic. So the way they dress, the way they will decorate their homes, anything that has to do with how to put things together, they probably will agree as to what is appealing. So again, they're going to be attracted to that aspect of their mate. On the downside is that when you compare the function stack of the ENFJ and the INFJ, is that the ENFJ will find that the INFJ comes across as too logical. So the ENFJ really comes from the heart. So they're the type of people who might stay in a relationship longer than they're supposed to because they don't want to break the harmony of this relationship. But if you look at the first function, the INFJ is introverted intuition. So it has to do with absolute truth. So the INFJ is more interested in the truth than keeping harmony, although they do want to have a peaceful relationship. And the introverted thinking function is in a third place. So you'll see that the INFJ is a lot more rational and logical than the ENFJ. So you'll see that the ENFJ, sometimes we'll see how the INFJ behaves, and will say that it's too harsh or too logical for them. And the INFJ will look at the ENFJ and say, well, you're too nice, in the sense that you need to be more logical. And that makes sense, because if you look at the function side of the ENFJ, is that extroverted feeling is their first function. So in other words, this is their goal, is to bond with others. Whereas the introverted thinking is their fourth function. The ENFJ knows that to use their logic means that they will have to either limit certain relationships or even end some relationships. So in other words, they have to sort of suppress their logic to focus on just being pleasing to others or keeping the harmony of a relationship. And that's not what the INFJ wants ultimately. The other aspect is that because the ENFJ's thinking function is their fourth one, they're not usually good at math and science. So certain topics that maybe the INFJ would like to explore, the ENFJ may not be interested or able to understand. So don't talk about calculus, algebra, or quantum physics to an ENFJ, because they might not understand, because of the fact that their brains are very right brain dominant and they're thinking from their fourth one. So they're usually not good in math and science, even in school, but even after they leave school, and they'd say their general interest will not be towards math and science. So the INFJ will have to rely on other relationships to meet those needs. The other point also, I would say that the INFJ is even less traditional than the ENFJ. So these are the type of people who don't mind going against the grain, whereas the ENFJ, although being an intuitive, would rather sort of stay within the family and wants to keep people together. So they are more conservative than the INFJ. So to summarize, is that the ENFJ and the INFJ relationship will be mostly positive because they have a number of overlapping characteristics. For example, the theme of their lives is both spirituality and meaning. These are people who have a feminine, orderly way of organizing their lives. So these are people who are reliable, reachable, very warm. They have a long attention span. They like to take their time and things. So when it comes to relationships, and also relationships are at the core of who they are. So this is really important for them. The areas where they're going to have an issue often is that one is more logical than the other. So you'll see that the INFJ will come across to the ENFJ as being too logical and sometimes harsh. And the INFJ will look at the ENFJ and say that, well, you are putting yourself at risk because you are becoming an enabler of dysfunctional behaviors from others. So there would be issues like that, and also the fact that the INFJ needs intellectual stimulation when it comes of math and science and so forth, and the INFJ usually is not able to actually understand or be interested in those topics. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this romantic compatibility analysis of the ENFJ and the INFJ by commenting below. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.